racing immediately. But a champion becomes a legend. CASSIDY wins it again.
Yes, yes, yes. Wins the Everest. Glenn Boss wins another big one.
Welcome back to another episode of Who's the Boss? I'm Julie Snook and I'm joined by the man himself, Bossy. How you doing?
Mate, I'm so good. How are you, Snooky?
I'm good. Welcome home.
Oh, it's always good to
I've
be home.
missed you.
Well, I mean, a week's too long,
I
isn't
know,
it?
it is.
Yeah.
Especially in a
We've
new
gotta talk about that.
relationship.
I know.
We've got a lot to talk about. We have a huge show coming up for you today. I can't wait to get to our next guest. This could go anywhere. I think I've said this before, but really this episode could it could go anywhere.
This will go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yes. Known this guy for a long time, and
He's got a similar hairstyle to you.
yeah, we could be undercover brothers, different mothers.
Yeah,
But he's got a more colourful history than me. Put it that way.
Colourful. That is the key word.
Mm.
I like it. Well, stick around. That is coming up. This episode, though, of Who's the Boss is proudly brought to you by AirTouch, the ultimate smart air conditioning controller for your home or business. And let's face it, you've come down from Queensland, Bossy, and Sydney hasn't really turned on the weather for you.
Well, the best part about it, Snooky, it's pissing outside. It's cold. I can be sitting here, like right now, controlling this whole thing from my phone.
Yeah, I know.
So when I get home,
It's going to be toasty.
perfect temperature.
Toasty.
It's that, and you know what? They've made it so simple. Just sit there, go boop boop boop, bang. Air conditioning's going.
Boop, boop, boop.
Did you like the sound effects?
Boop, boop, boop. airtouch.net.au. Stay cool, stay connected with AirTouch. Of course, you can stay in touch with us as well. You can track us down on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. I sound like my mother. At Who's the Boss Pod is where you can find us. And, of course, on YouTube. Stick around, join the madness. You can get us anywhere you get your good podcasts from as well. You can hear us, you can watch us. Geez, we're everywhere.
Join the madness. I love that.
Yeah, join the madness.
Love it.
Let's chat about a bit of racing. The Everest,
Yep.
we're like 3 weeks out, and I think we've got 5 runners named at this stage
Yep.
with Jolie Starr and your girl, Steffi Magnetica.
Yes.
Steffi Magnetica. That's a tongue twister. Getting the call up this week.
Yeah, and I'm so happy. I was really on her. I'm really on her camp because I just love I like the form around her.
Yeah.
And first up, she just went there and put her hand up and said, "I'm here to race." And Bjorn's going to give her a little trial in between, getting prepped up. And you'd be a brave man to say that she can't win the Everest. That's what I will say.
Reckon.
Yeah. Well, the form's there to be seen. It's she beat Bella Nipotina,
This is true.
who arguably I think should be nearly favourite for the race. Only because you know what you're going to get with her. She's super honest and she's there to race every time. This filly beat her in the winter.
Interestingly, no mare or filly has placed in the Everest yet. However, already we've got 3 mares lined up for this year's field. So that could change.
Yep.
And if you're looking at the splits from Randwick last week, over the 600, Steffi Magnetica, 32.66, the fastest of the day.
That's low flying. Yeah, that's what I mean. You'd be brave to say she can't win. That's what I will say, man. The form's there to see, and the numbers back her up. She's a Group 1 winner, but she's a proper racehorse.
So Jolie Starr for the Chris Waller slot, Steffi Magnetica for Newgate GPI joins now. Bella Nipotina, I Wish I Win, and Bustling. Coming off the back of the T-Rose, we saw I Am Me win. You would expect I Am Me to be the second runner for Kieran Meyer in the Everest, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
You would think?
Why not? It's flying.
Yeah.
She can't do any more than what she's doing at the moment. She's beaten everything. She's another one. She's got stats to back it up. She's going to be top 5.
There you go. Top 5. All right. Well, we do have Bossy's Best coming up later in the show where we'll take you through this week's racing at Randwick. We'll have a look at Victoria as well. I reckon we should just rip the Band-Aid off and get straight to our colourful guest.
Oh, my God.
Buckle up.
Buckle up, everybody. This is going to be 1 hour that you're probably going to enjoy.
The hour of power.
You know what it'd be like? It'd be like flying a kite in a storm. Basically, you don't know where it's going to go.
Alrighty. I don't know if I'm ready. Are we ready?
You won't be ready for this.
I really don't know if I am ready for this. In fact, I'm a little bit nervous. This week's guest on Who's the Boss has had an incredible racing career. I'm going to look to my notes because the list is quite long. Some of the highlights, just some, include 2 Melbourne Cups, 2 Caulfield Cups. Some of the highlights include... I'm going to start from the top. This is all a bit of... Look, you've got me rattled.
That's what Pumps does.
I'm rattled. I've made it this far and I'm rattled. This week's guest on Who's the Boss has had an incredible career in the racing industry. Some of the highlights include 2 Melbourne Cups, 2 Caulfield Cups, a Cox Plate, a Golden Slipper, Derbies, Oaks, and inductions into both the Australian and New Zealand Racing Hall of Fame's ring-a-ding-ding. Pumpers in the building.
Yoo-hoo!
Nice to see you.
Yeah, great to be here. And, look, as you said, great career and something I love doing.
Geez, you've come in on fire this morning. I tell you what, you came in. We knew you were in the building today.
He's like one of those little Tasmanian, the cartoon Tasmanian devil, like comes in.
He's got me all rattled.
Wow, up there he goes.
No, look, I've had a pretty hectic week, so I think I've spent more time in the air the last month than I have on the ground, so I'll settle down.
Appreciate
No,
you.
don't.
We'll relax and have some fun.
All right. Well, speaking of relaxing, your mate Bossy, he likes to cart a few cups around with him. He's a humble bloke. And so these days we drink champagne out of the Melbourne Cups. Do you want to join us for a glass?
I would love one. Why
All
not?
right.
I reckon
I
you
haven't
need
had
one.
the honour to drink out of one of Bossy's yet, so
No.
it'll be beautiful.
Won't
We've
it?
seen them plenty of times.
Yeah.
Be nice to have a nice little sip out of one,
Let's
Bossy.
go then,
Righto,
baby.
Bossy.
Let's do it.
You pop the cork. There we go. That is probably one of my most favourite sounds
Oh, yeah.
in the world. What's your favourite job, Jimmy?
I like a champagne. I love a beer, obviously.
Yeah.
Grew up drinking BB as a young boy in New Zealand. But look, I like all the spoils.
Oh, geez, he's
I'm
really
a great
taken us-
CUB man with me, with me BBs. Oh,
Thank
look
you.
at this.
He's
What
really
a
taken
great
us to
time
the
of
top
day to
today.
drink. Oh, yes. Yeah, love you too, brother. My pleasure. Wow, look at this.
This is how we roll in our house.
Go McIvy Diva.
God bless her.
Oh, gosh, it's good.
Doesn't it taste cold? That's beautiful.
See how cold it gets, though.
I know, it's amazing.
He tells everyone that.
I'm drinking whiskey out of them. I'm drinking beers out of them. We're drinking everything out of them. And
Well,
great honour to drink out of McIvy
No.
Diva's cups. Great
well,
man.
thanks for coming, my friend.
Pleasure, brother.
Like, you talk about, I've had a lot of influences throughout my life, and Pumps and I have remained very close through the ups and downs.
100%.
And he's kind of one of those guys that he's mentored me without even saying much. But when he did, because he doesn't mince words. He's a man's man, and if he likes you, he's fiercely loyal to his friends.
Yeah, what you see is what you get with Pump.
Yep.
Yeah, look, I think you got to have alligator skin in this great game called racing. And I was able to have the roller coaster ride and enjoy every minute of it. And my theme song was I get knocked down, but I get up again.
Yeah.
And I was able to do it for a long time.
Pumper. Where did that nickname come from?
First girlfriend. Outstanding.
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 I'm just going to see myself out.
No, look, I was lucky enough. Glenn Robbins, editor of the Daily Telegraph, I think it was back in '86. I was lucky enough to write 6 winners in a day at Rose Hill. And I think the headlines in the paper on the Sunday were Jim Cassidy pumps 6 home or something. And, the next day it was Pumper.
Pumper.
And I thought, what a great... it was great. So we stuck with it.
Stuck with it.
Yeah, look, it was a little bit of a good name, and it stuck. I mean, to say my upper body strength riding, you don't see many jockeys today that can lift them to win, was probably a little bit of my claim to fame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They had to throw whips away back in them days. I think I probably would have rode a few more Group 1
Yeah,
winners.
you would. He was physically stronger than anyone in the room. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he took his shirt off and he just rippled.
I did have a 6-pack back in them days.
But you-
Now I've got a round pack.
Yeah. But you worked hard on it, didn't you, Jimmy?
Yeah, well, you did. Well, it's, racing's what you put in, you get back. And, as we do doing our guest speaking things, dedication, sacrifices, all the good things to get to the top, and you've got to put day in, day out, do the hard yards.
What do you make of jockeys these days? Obviously, your son-in-law is a jockey, Zach Purton, and we're only talking about this off air, we see the work that they put in at the gym nowadays and the type of training they do, the athleticism now as well. What do you make of the style of jockey that we're seeing in 2024?
You look, time changes everything. Like when in my day, I would do a lot of walking, sauntering. I was only little, but I was solid. So building up muscle is weight. So I didn't do that. But, obviously the boys have different routines today. They go to the gym, and I used to like doing a little bit of boxing and that sort of thing. I was pretty much what you put in, you got to burn off. Try not to do both, as in drink and eat. Otherwise, it just sits there like a piece of concrete, and it's always hard to move. So, look, it just comes back to being dedicated. I didn't like to get 2 or 3 kilos off on the day. I'd always get a kilo off here and there, and be mentally focused and be ready to fire on the day, because you need your strength on the day, and you need your head right. So, look, the routine they go through today, everybody's different, and Glenn being tall and lean, so he didn't have to do as much, but he's still done his own, everyone has their own little bit of fitness thing. So I enjoyed plenty of walking and sitting in saunas and spas and relaxing.
I'd go and watch him train, and he'd do rounds in a steam room.
Yeah,
like
with the old
boxing.
rubbish bag on, eh?
Oh my God. And like unbelievable. Like honestly, I couldn't do it. He'd do round after round in a steam room with a plastic bag on.
Yeah. I'd have the rubbish bag on, and
Yeah.
my mentor, Malcolm Abe, who was with me, the last 25 years of my career, and we used to do the hard yards in the sauna, and then have the metho rub afterwards, and then the moisturiser rub. And it's, the great game is 99% mental. And if you get your body right and approach it the right way, the rest is just basic. I mean to say, riding a horse is like riding a bike.
How much can you lose in those sweat sessions?
Yeah, look, I like to get, my weight used to fluctuate maybe 3 kilos. Obviously, 3/4 of it was fluid, so you've got to have the fluid. But I mean to say, there was plenty of days I'd take the toothbrush to the races and brush the teeth and have a spit, and that was about it. So, the whole thing is preparing well and mentally being right for the big days, because, as Glenn knows, you want to pick up the paper Sunday or Thursday morning and see your name in lights.
When you talk about the mental, that's what I admired about this guy. His whole career, he was never scared. When I say he was brave, because he didn't care he didn't give a fuck what people thought about him. No, seriously. Yeah. So he went out and rode with his attitude. Yeah. He did what he wanted to. He did it how he wanted to, and he backed himself the whole way. One of the biggest things he told me early on when we were young, he said, the worst thing you'll do, the worst decision you'll ever make is the decision you don't make. Yeah. He said, live and die by the sword.
By the sword. Yeah.
And that's something, when I was a young man, he was telling me these things, and I'd go out there and watch him ride, and he just did it. He didn't give a fuck, basically, because he did it his way and did it so well.
Look, I love listening to the great man himself, Frank Sinatra. Yeah. I'll do it my way. Well, I done it Pumper's way, but I backed myself to do it, without
Where does that come from, though? Where does that confidence, what is that?
Well, look, I can sit here today and say, look, I lost my dad 8 years ago. He installed that into me. Dad was an upholsterer by trade, and I remember holding material and things like that, and Dad would say, if you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all.
Yeah. Bluey was a great man.
And it sunk in, because there's only 4 things you can do in a race. And the first thing is go out mentally focused, back yourself. And when you're riding for Bart Cummings, Tommy Smith, Maxie Lees, all the great trainers I was lucky enough to ride for, and Gay, they expect you to back yourself. We get riding instructions, but things change so quick. Speed maps, I didn't bother looking at. Doing form, I thought it was very overrated. Because when you come out of the barrier, things change so quick. And Glenn knows that. There's 4 things you can do in a race, and there's not a lot of people know what they are, and not even many jockeys do.
What are they?
Go forward, go back, go left, or go right. Pretty basic, isn't it?
So how did you prepare for a race then?
I put my red jocks on to go to the races. That was my luck.
Yeah. Was it the same red pair every time?
Pretty much, yep.
Really?
Yep.
Jeez, they must have I hope you changed them over the course of 4 decades.
Yeah, well, I went with the leg into the G-banger towards the end, so yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Always had the red ones on.
He had a big ass too, boy. He had a big ass too, don't worry.
No, look, it's, as I said, look, I remember when J-Mac come back from his little rub out, he rang me and he said, "Oh, what do you think, Pump?" I said, "What do you mean, what do I think?" He said, "Well, what do I do when I get back? How do I approach it?" I said, "Well, you haven't forgotten how to ride, have you?" He said, "No." I said, "Well, just go back and ride." A lot of things in racing, if you try to complicate it, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Right.
If horses need to lead in a race and they miss the start, well, you've got to go to plan B like that, where not a lot of jockeys were able to do that without being disrespectful. That's why we have a top echelon of jockeys, top 5, top 10. Those decisions are made quicker by them than most of the others.
But
and
very confident, weren't you?
that's
Punk?
why you ride more winners and Group 1s than the rest.
But
And,
he used to walk in, like, and that's another thing I used to watch, observe. Like, Jimmy walked in and he had everyone on the back foot straight away because he walked in so confident.
Well, you got to be.
And, you know, and you could feel it. You could feel it in the air when he walked in, you know?
I saw it here just this morning.
But that's
I
him.
always had respect for my fellow riders and the
Yeah.
ladies. But when you're out there, may the best man win. But I loved everyone to go home safe at night. The only time I ever used to get heated was when you get the odd one or two that make stupid mistakes. I mean, to say I done plenty of them myself. But, you know...
a stupid mistake in this game is a dangerous mistake.
A dangerous mistake, and that's what I mean. I mean, it's, an error of judgment, a silly decision, trying to duck out when you can't get out and half-lengthing someone else and that sort of thing. It all happens, but you've just got to put it into perspective and be safe and have respect for fellow riders.
What
That's
about
the main
your when you talk about your judgment? Like Jimmy was very renowned for having a clock in his head, like incredible sense of timing, knowing a great awareness of how fast he was going, and no, it was more telling the story. It's a Caulfield Cup, right? This is a major race. And he's riding the best horse in the world called Might and Power, right?
Oh, that one.
We get to I'll let him tell the story, but we get to about the 700 metre mark, and I'm about 2 pairs back on the fence.
True.
And you can see it on the film. He turns his head out. He turned over his right shoulder.
Yep.
And I was 2 pairs back, and I went, "What the? Did I just hear tell him what you said?"
I did, because like we're standing in the mounting yard, and actually the day before, I met my manager at the time, Brett Grant, and I said, "Meet me in the whiskey bar at Crown Casino." I said, "I've got something to tell you."
And what year was this?
97.
97.
And it was a big year for me because I'd just come back from all the Jockeys Tape saga and whatnot. So I needed my name and lights pretty quick. I didn't ever ride in the Caulfield Cup. I got the opportunity. Jack Denham rung and said, "Have you got to ride in the Cup?" I said, "No." He said, "You're riding Might and Power." Hung up. I seen him in the mounting yard on the Saturday race day. And I'd already rung Brett Grant, said, "Meet me at the whiskey bar. I've got something to tell you." I said, "If I lead on Might and Power tomorrow, he's unbeatable." He said, "If you lead on him tomorrow, you'll never get another ride off Jack." I said, "Well, Jack's 86 on a walking stick. Good luck if he's going to catch me." So we're standing in the mounting yard, and Jack looks at me and he said, "Whatever you do, don't lead." I said, "I won't lead, Jack." I always had it in my mind to lead. And I thought, if I lead, he's got 52 kilos, mile and a half. I knew I could ride him to run 12, 11.9, 11.8, get some good sectionals. They couldn't beat him. Little turning track at Caulfield. We always used to have the trouble of leaders not handling Caulfield, coming out of Sydney, but he was a beast. I've never seen a horse in the mounting yard that I thought was absolutely unbeatable until I seen Kiwi back in 83. He walked round with the presence, bigger ego than what I had getting on him, and the rest was history. I led on him with a round to go. He broke the course record. I got to the 600, and he actually jumped the shadow.
Yeah, that's
of
right.
the 600 metre
That's
shadow.
right, because he had his ears up. Yeah.
And I looked back, and I turned around and I said, "Thanks for coming, boys. I'm going."
He yelled it out.
I said,
He
"Thanks
yelled
for
it out.
fucking coming, boys. I'm out of here."
Thanks for fucking coming.
And I just looked back, and as we got there, we know jockeys aren't allowed a bet, but my dad was a good punter, and I thought 15-1, nice couple grand in the kick. Dad, I'm going for home.
Won
And
by 8.
I let him go, and he won by 8. So yeah.
Can you imagine, Snooky, like you're sitting back and you hear this bloke say, "Thanks for fucking coming,
Thanks
boys.
for coming,
I'm off."
boys.
And you're like, And I went, what the fuck? And then he just went, wow.
And so what was the reaction when you got back?
Well, it was funny because when I come back, obviously my manager, Brett Grant, was over the moon. With a round to go, I reckon Jack Denham could have reached out with his walking stick and tried to throttle me. Nick Moratis would have wanted to kill me, but he didn't know anything about sectionals. All he knew about was selling potatoes and fruit.
Yep.
So I said, leave that to me. He had no idea.
Yep.
And when I come back in, Jack hobbled out, looked me straight in the eye, and he goes, I thought I told you not to leave. But that was Jack.
Yeah, that was Jack.
But it was a great thrill for me because I was able to win, obviously, the Caulfield Cup that he hadn't won before. He hadn't won the Melbourne Cup and he hadn't won the Cox Plate. So for me as a jockey to do that for such a great trainer that I had the utmost respect for as a trainer was fantastic.
What about that from the Caulfield Cup going into the Melbourne Cup? There's a lot of stuff going on in your world then. Like you got the big fella ringing you up saying, "Can you win?" And
yeah,
that's a great story.
Yeah,
right?
it was so true. I just told the story when I was away this week, and like people were flabbergasted. I was staying at Crown that night. Not that I stayed there a lot, but I thought I need the privacy and at least they can keep the media away and that sort of thing. So I said to Mum and Dad, I said, ring my room before 6 o'clock because I'm taking no phone calls after 6 o'clock. So I'm sitting in the room about 2 minutes to go, 2 minutes to 6, the phone rings. I picked up the phone. I said, hi, Dad. He goes, it's not Dad, it's Kerry Packer. I said, can you be my dad for one day? And he proceeded to say, how's Might and Power going? I said, look, I haven't been on him, boss. I said, but I've seen him. He looks fantastic, blah, blah. I said, why is that? He said, I've just left the call to the card with Lloyd, as they do at Crown. He said, I've had a small bet. And I said, what's that? He said, how much? He said, I've had 4 million at 4-1. So when Might and Power won by that much, I looked across at Hawley and he's going like this. And I thought, oh, he's got me, you know. Anyhow, I later found out that he was waving to some Sheila in row 26B in the grandstand that was flashing the tits.
Did you think you got beat? Did you? Did you actually think you got beat though?
I did, Bossy.
Did you really?
Yeah, I really did because, you know, look,
He was out on his legs, wasn't he?
He was out. He was on empty.
Yeah.
He was on empty about really 10 strides out.
Yeah.
I've ever tried to move a winning post or dead set lift one over the line. It was that day. Enormous amount of pressure, but great pressure. And I carried on after the race, looked at Letzi because I seen Hawley going like this, and I mean to say Hawley was one of the greats. And for him to celebrate, I thought he knew that he had got me. I was on the inside. I didn't know, but I just kept going and looked at Letzi and got round the corner and said to Letzi, what number's in the frame? He said, 3, pump, you got it. And when I looked at Hawley, if I could ever see a jockey nearly fall through his underpants and hang himself, it was fucking him.
Yeah, it was. Well, he was,
He was devastated, Hawley, but luckily he had already won a Melbourne Cup on the mighty subby, and it was nice for me with all the bullshit I'd gone through, you know, a couple of years before to fight back, and once again, that theme song come to my head straight away.
Yeah.
You are a New Zealand boy. Where did that love for the horse, for racing, come from?
Yeah, look, Mum and Dad, I was one of 7, obviously, 4 boys and 3 girls, and Mum and Dad were fantastic. We'd go to our footy on a Saturday morning, then they would take the girls to marching or netball or whatever it be, and then we'd get in the car and off to a race meeting, whether it was Otaki, Palmerston, Woodville, Wellington. Mum and Dad would pack us all up in the car and away we'd go. My dad always wanted to be a jockey. So the love was there. I remember going to the races, watching the races and getting to the top of the straight and racing the horses up the straight as a kid and picking up tote tickets and, just the passion, the love was there. And, look, I was never any good at school. I think the highest mark I got at school was 1 for English, and I think that was for spelling my name right.
They give you 1 for turning up.
I got 1.5. The other half was for turning up. But look, I just loved it. It was in my blood. I love the smell of horses. I love being round.
But you were good from the get-go, weren't you, Jimmy? Like you were like, you look back in the, you read the history and go back, you were made for this. You were good from the get-go.
Well, I was pretty much the right size for it, and look, I loved it. I think I had 86 rides before I rode my first winner. the second year I was leading apprentice in New Zealand with 124 winners, and then that beautiful
Kiwi
Cup that I won in 83 on Kiwi was my 500th winner. I started in 78.
Wow.
By the time 83 come, he was my 500th winner.
But
Melbourne
you're still
Cup day.
so young to win a cup.
Yeah. Look, it opened all the doors for me. It was an amazing feeling. I telling stories. I used to take my push bike to school on the first Tuesday in November. I'd tell the school teacher I'm leaving at 12 o'clock. She said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going home to watch the Melbourne Cup. I'm going to ride in one day, and hopefully I'll win one." I said, "You'll see me in the paper and on television one day." And she more or less said, "Well, good luck. Have a good life, you know." But as I say, dreams do come
But that
true,
ability
great
to
man.
back yourself, that was already evident back then, because the story about Kiwi and the Cup, like, this is unheard of, what he was doing behind the scenes. Because
I remember when I was riding in Palmerston in New Zealand, my great mate Dave Johnson owned a pub called the Carlton Hotel, and they had a wall as big as this, and they had all the All Black jumpers, South Africa, Wales, Ireland, whoever they played in a test match, Scotland, Fiji, whoever. And it was magnificent big trophy, and there was one little spot in the left-hand corner. And I said to me mate Dave, I said, "You know what? I'm going to bring the Melbourne Cup back, and I'm going to stick it up there."
Yeah.
And I said, "I'll leave it there for 3 months." So I come back after I won the Cup, and I stuck it up there, and I don't know how many people got photos with it. So, you know, dreams come true, but I backed myself.
You backed yourself.
I backed myself.
You did. You had virtually no money.
I had nothing, no.
But what money you did, you put it on Kiwi to win the Melbourne Cup.
I was getting $18 a week when I won the Cup in 83, and I got half a Sunday off a month. I borrowed $2,000.
Which is a lot of money. Right?
A lot of money back then.
Yeah.
And I was staying at the Park Royal at St Kilda, and I got a taxi from the Park Royal at St Kilda to Flemington and back. 83, it cost me $1.74. Little $2 note with a green bird on it.
Yeah.
I've still got one of them.
You do?
For that reason.
That's
yeah.
great.
I kept it. So anyhow, I borrowed the $2,000, so I worked out. As I said, my math was never good at school, but I had 1,998 left. So I went and put it all to win on Kiwi. Once again, I backed myself, brother.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so it was
That's
amazing.
ballsy. That's ballsy as
Yeah.
a young man to do this in
In the Melbourne
a
Cup.
Melbourne Cup,
Yeah.
right? We're not talking any shit race. This is a Melbourne Cup.
And it was funny. I can see it right now. Colin Hayes, Bart Cummings, and Tommy Smith all standing together just to my left. And beside me was Snowy Lupton, smoking a roll-your-own cigarette with ash on it that long. And he's got his hat on and he's looking and he's going, "How do you think he looks, Jimmy?" I said, "He's the only horse without a sweat mark on him. 24 runners, one horse without a sweat mark, only horse not jig-jogging in the mounting yard, 120,000 people at Flemington.
And what a ride, though.
Ring-a-ding-ding. Yeah, we're here to kick their ring." So it was unbelievable.
It was a great ride, though. It was ballsy ride. Like,
Yeah, well, it
to
was
keep your powder dry for that long.
It was the way that Snowy said to me when I got on. He goes, I said to Snowy, "What do you want me to do?" He goes, "Just do the same. Just leave him alone. He'll go when he's ready." And our plan was to be somewhere near them at the clock tower. And funny enough, I just caught up with Bruce Marsh in New Zealand a couple of days ago, and we were reminiscing because he won on Silver Knight, and Silver Knight was trained by Eric Temperton. And Eric Temperton was the last person to say to me when I left New Zealand with Kiwi, after he won at Hara, carried 9 stone, broke the course record. That was his last run a month before the Melbourne Cup, which they couldn't do it in them days.
No.
They always had to run in the McKinnon or the Hotham or whatever it is now prior to the Melbourne Cup to be able to win or be competitive. But Kiwi never had a run for a month. And Eric Temperton said to me, he said, "Son, if you're within a length and a half of them at the clock tower, it'll be thanks for coming." And that's when I got out, and I think I was probably a length and a half off them. Noble comment in front, Mr. Jazz. "And here comes Kiwi to beat them all with a mighty run."
What about when you... And he got all the cash, obviously, and then he sent his mate down. Tell us, this is the best story.
Yeah, well, I said to me mate, I said, "Look, got 22,000. I think there were grey nurses in them days.
Yeah.
As in notes. So I said, "Look, go down and cash it into $20 bills." I had my little Air New Zealand bag that you have your socks. Not that I've got any on today. I threw them ones out. And your earplugs. So I took all them out of my little Air New Zealand bag, put 22,000 cash in it, $20 notes, went back to my hotel room, tipped it on the bed, and at 20 the pump was rolling in money.
Yeah. he did the snowman. He did the
Had me
snow
rolling
angel.
whip and I was flashing $20 bills.
You did the snow angel on the bed.
Yeah.
Oh
rolling in cash.
Yeah,
this
that
is
was
stuff
great.
that movies make. This is incredible,
that
right?
was great. And then, funny enough, I left Flemington on the Thursday, went back to New Zealand and won the 1,000 guineas at Riccarton on the Saturday for me boss. So it was a great week. Two Group 1 winners in the week and the famous Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, and you just announce yourself to everyone in the
Yeah,
world.
well, it opened the doors for me, Bossy.
Yeah.
It gave me the opportunity, obviously, to come to Australia. I was laying in bed one night. The phone went at 6 o'clock. And the phone went, and it was a Friday night, about 6 o'clock, and I picked the phone up. I said, hello. He goes, it's Bob Lapointe from Sydney. We want to offer you a job in Sydney. I said, fuck off, boys. I said, stop being dickheads. And I hung up. I thought it was the boys playing a crank on me. So anyhow, the phone went again. He goes, don't hang up. He said, it's Bob Lapointe. He said, I own Emancipation. And I thought, geez, I know that name. And then, the rest was history. There was Bob Lapointe, Robert Sangster, and they offered me the job in Sydney at Nebo to kick off.
And he stopped the run, TJ's run.
Yeah, we stopped TJ's run. Well, they set up Nebo to challenge Tommy because he'd won, 35 premierships in a row.
That's incredible, yeah.
Amazing feat. And they took him on because they wanted to break that hoodoo. And they got the trainer, Brian Mayfield Smith, and then little Kiwi from over the ditch. And we knocked him off our first year, which was fantastic.
What did these guys, these trainers, these legends of the game think when this little Kiwi bloke turned up with the confidence to back himself?
Yeah, well, it was hard. It was really hard when I first come to Sydney. It brought me back a peg or two because, to say, look, we had Mick Dittman, we had Ronnie Quinton, who had won
Malcolm, Ronnie.
7 or 8 premierships straight. Larry Olsen, Malcolm Johnson was the pin-up boy. Darren Beedman was just starting to come along. Bossy was
Wayne Harris.
Brisbane, Wayne Harris, Kevin Moses, Larry Olsen, Kevin Langby was getting towards the end of it. So they were the superstar jockeys that people in the world were watching, and certainly me from New Zealand. And I remember going to Brisbane in 81 and beating Malcolm in the Brisbane Cup, but then coming to Sydney was a different league. Like I was a little pea on a pumpkin. I've got probably the number 1 job in Sydney, so it was always going to be hard. But look, I just pulled on the alligator skin and stood up, and it was my time to stand up and be counted. You
did what you've always done. You let your ride and do the talking.
Yeah, well,
honestly, that's what he done. He's done the.
You got to let the ride and do the talking, and you got to put your name in lights. And I learnt a lot by watching the greats. You know, the Malcolm Johnsons, the Mick Dittmans, and Ronnie Quinton. I learnt a lot of. I really focused on Ronnie Quinton.
Okay.
Why I don't know, but he was the pin-up jockey. He was a bit like Bossy towards the end of his career, riding all the good horses, and myself, and all the great jockeys ride a lot of the great horses. So to watch Ronnie, I would get Ronnie's videos at the end of the day. We had video machines back in those days. So I would get videos and replay them backwards. Why do people say, why do you replay them backwards? Because to watch a race going forward, you miss so much. And I would replay all the races backwards. So you'd have the video coming like this. And then I would think, my assessment would be, why did he go there? Why did he come out there? Why did he wait for so long? And you could see that. I could see it. And then seeing it is being able to feel it and then put it into perspective yourself when that opportunity comes yourself. Yeah,
but you're a bloody hard worker too, Pump. So like when you ride work, you ride work all morning. Like, you know what I mean? He wasn't there to just ride 2 or 3 and he would ride 15. Like, he just didn't stop. Yeah, I mean, you just...
riding for Gay and now Chris Waller and back in the day for Tommy and Brian Mayfield Smith. You know, when I was with Mayfield Smith, you'd be there at 4, you'd be on your first one, and some days you'd still be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. But that was the great thing. You got to ride so many different horses, shapes, sizes, fillies, mares, geldings, colts. And horses are like kids. They're all individuals. They've all got the little hiccups.
Yeah.
But it's how you assess them. And don't forget, we only get, minute and a half sometimes from the time you get on them, get to the barrier, try and assess them. And as I say, become one.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a pea on a pumpkin, but you got to become one and work it out like that.
That was the fun part for me.
Yeah, that's what I
By
love.
the time I got to the barriers, I felt like I knew its history. I knew everything about it. I knew what buttons to push.
Yeah.
That was part of the game,
Well,
right?
I love giving them a good canter down, and I enjoyed it more riding for Tommy and Gay, I think they sent the benchmark in respect of let them go to the barrier, let them stride out, get a feel of them.
Yeah.
Because they were trained that way. They were trained to run. They were trained to be tough. They were trained to be hard.
Yep.
And then it was up to people like me and yourself to do the finishing touches, which it takes a bit of concentration and getting it right. You've got to get it right more times than you get it wrong.
How much can you learn in that small window of being on them compared to the time before then? The prep that you're doing pre-race?
It's how much you want to learn, how much you want to take in.
Yeah, they do talk to you, but you just got to listen. But when you do it in track work, when they're in a very uncomfortable environment, they're happy. It's when they're under pressure that's when you find out what the real animal's about, and that's
how dig they can deep to ride them track work. That's why I loved riding work for Gay and Waller, because they give and even more so Bart, they give their horses a lot of long work, so you get to feel the difference and you can feel their strength and their own determination. The last 100 in track work.
Yep.
Gay would say, and even back to Brian Mayfield Smith, pull the stick, give them one, make them go to the line. And that
put them under pressure. Find out where they're at. Yeah.
Because everybody and everything has a crack in it somewhere, but it's how they hang in there and how they rise above that toughness. They can dig deep, and you can lift them out of that little hole that they're falling into. That's the difference of winning and losing 90% of the time.
100%.
So what are you doing with yourself these days? Because obviously you tell your stories, you go out and chat to the racing fans, but what else are you doing in life?
I've been an ambassador for Ladbrokes since I've retired, which I love.
You guys do some great content.
Yeah, it's good fun. And now Bossy's obviously on board, and Ollie's now retired, so he's on board. So, I mean to say, we've got 3 good mates together. I think the 3 of us used to ride reasonably well.
Oh, right.
A few
over 300
between us.
Over 300 group in the majors that we won.
And for 3 guys that have worked together for so long at the high end of the scale, to mix and mingle, we could be ruthless out there to one another, but after a race we'd come back. I was the first to hug Bossy, or Bossy was the first to hug me, or likewise with Ollie. I'm very privileged that I've got 2 great mates that I call mates, opposition when I was riding, and great mates today that I can stay at his place, he'll buy dinner for me, or I'll buy dinner for him. And it's a great thing to have when you've been at the high echelon for so long, and yet we respect and love one another dearly.
And I tell you, no one commands a room like this bloke. Like,
you
can tell, like we're right into this now. Yeah. But when Pump walks in the room and he starts telling these stories, and they are, there's no sugarcoating this or bullshitting these stories. They are the real deal.
Well, I only say what I can back up. I've said a few things today which are true. You have disappointments in life and racing, and racing brings out the best in everyone.
And the worst. And the worst.
And the worst.
And the worst. I've seen the top to the bottom, as in stewards, owners, trainers, jockeys. I've seen them all. I haven't seen I think I've seen the best of the era, I believe. 80s, 90s, early 2000s. Wonderful jockeys, wonderful trainers. The cycle always goes. Yes, we die, we pass away. There's always someone to take someone's place. Is racing going to stop when Jim Cassidy, Damien Oliver and Glenn Boss retire? Darren Beedman? Nah. It's going to keep going. We've got J Mac, we've got Zach Purden, we've got Kieran McAvoy, we've got all the good jockeys still going. So it's a great game. It keeps going. But, look, outside, that's one thing I've loved since I've been with Ladbrokes. I get to meet a lot of different people. I love to tell the stories. Let them have their own opinion. Everyone's got an opinion. I've always had an opinion. But that's what makes life. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But I've enjoyed Ladbrokes because I've met a lot of wonderful people. I get to a lot of different places. You meet the battlers, you meet the big punters, you meet the little punters. I'm happy to sit in the pub in shorts and thongs and have a pie and sauce with any punter and tell stories and have fun.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about. Because without them punters out there chairing me, and a lot of people thought I was a dickhead.
It's the joy you give them.
It's the joy you give them.
It's unbelievable. Like I sit down and watch him. He's got his form guide out, and it's covered in red ink, and because he loves a bet, and he's tipping away, but to see how he engages with the everyday bloke, and they can't believe they're sitting down next to Jimmy Cassidy and he's rattling off tips.
Yeah.
They love it. Yeah. I love watching it.
Like I just had a ball being away with the cup up at Mount Perry and Emerald. Like, we had guys that turned up. We were ready to leave, as you would have done yourself. We had blokes turn up in a little country pub, miles from nowhere, in their dirty old work gear. We're holding the cup. And he goes, "Pump, can I cuddle you?" I said, "Course you can, big fella."
Yeah.
Like, for him to give me a hug
Yeah.
with me gear on, and him to say, "Thank you." He said, "I had a lot of fun following you." He said, "I didn't win on you all the time." He said, "But the courage of you and all your fellow riders and girls," he goes, "you guys are amazing." So that's nice to get that feedback.
That's
I mean,
mint.
to say we keep a lot of people happy, we disappoint a lot of people, but we're still here.
Yeah, we're still here.
We're still here.
Well, you are here. You're in Bossy's house. I like to say it's my house too sometimes if he lets me, lead the way. We've got a little game we wanted to play with you.
Mm-hmm.
This is a bit left field, this one.
This will be good.
This will be good. Take a sip.
He loves a game. He
like-
loves a game.
He likes a game. Does he like a
Yes.
drinking game? Does he like
Oh,
a
he likes all
golf
games.
game?
He-
Kiwi and Kiwi, brother.
Cheers, brother. Yeah.
I did win another one on Might and Power too, I think, didn't I?
Yeah, I think you
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what the history books say.
And to Ladbrokes.
did. Yep.
All right, now to rock band, racehorse, or rude film.
Oh.
So I'm going to give you a name,
Mm-hmm.
and it's either a band, a horse, or a rude film.
This is going to be
Yeah.
like being at school again.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
Well, we learn a lot in this game.
Okay.
So you both have to choose, and we'll see who the winner is.
You get to go first, Pumps.
Oh, I get really uncomfortable with this game. I was once a professional. The first name is Satan's Almighty Penis. Is it a rock band? Is it a racehorse? Or is it a rude film?
I'd say a rude film. And I reckon Bossy stars in it.
I have got a bit of devil in me. Yeah, it has to be a rude film.
Gotta
It
be a
has to
rude
be.
film.
Satan's Almighty Penis is a US band.
Oh,
Oh,
are you serious?
I think I'm correct in saying that our EP even knows this band. Do you
What
know
are they
who this
like?
band is, James?
Grunge?
No, I know all the other ones.
Oh, the other one, the fellatio one.
Machine Gun Fellatio.
For Machine Gun Fellatio. I didn't.
wow.
That's a band
Yeah,
too. Who
that's
knew?
A band.
So
Wow.
that's like a punk rock or something, isn't it?
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, well,
Yes.
there you go.
I can't read out the other list of names I found. I'll show you later because they were very rude.
Mm.
Okay, the next one. Captain Stabbin.
Captain Stabbin.
Is it a rock band? Is it a racehorse? Or is it a rude film?
Here comes Captain Stabbin coming down the up.
Captain
It doesn't sound
Stabbin.
right, does
No,
it?
it doesn't sound right. Captain Stabbin.
It's got to be. You go first.
I think it's got to be a movie, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be a rude film. Has
Be
to
a
be.
rude film.
It is a rude film.
Yeah, I will.
Well
we
done.
got one each, brother.
One each, brother.
One each.
Yeah, one. We got back to zero.
We got
We
back
went
to zero.
negative and then we're back.
We're
It's
back.
like our
Alright.
golf.
We're back. Yes, up and down.
The next is Thunder Lips.
Oh, that's got
Under lips. Ooh.
thunder.
It's got to be a band. No, I'm going to change. It's got to be a racehorse.
Bossy?
I'll go to band.
Thunder Lips is a 4-year-old gelding trained by Björn Baker, currently
Really,
in
mate?
work.
In work at the moment.
Go the mighty Kiwi. Good on you, Bjorn.
Actually ran just last week, and among the ownership group, Luster Lodge. G'day to my mates at Luster Lodge. Thunder Lips.
Under lips.
Isn't it in the right stable too? Beyond
Yeah.
Baker.
Bjorn
He
Baker.
he can
Yes.
move those
He's
lips.
great.
He-
Mighty
he's
Kiwi.
he's a breath
fun.
of fresh air, isn't he? He's a beauty.
He is fantastic.
He is great fun.
done a lot
He's
of
great
functions
for
with him.
racing too, isn't
He's
he?
fantastic. I've had the pleasure and the honour to go up and do his box there at Ramwick with Keith and the team. After he's won a race, he comes in as if it's every race is the Melbourne Cup.
Every race, it's
and that's
true.
fantastic for racing. It's good for his clients, and it's amazing to see him get the joy out of it like I do.
Yeah, it's not bullshit either. It's
No,
it's
he's
just
fair
him,
income.
mate. It's
That's
fair
him.
income. It's
Yeah,
what
he's
he's
a
a
great
ripper.
man.
He's a smart guy too.
Oh, yeah.
Pharmacist by trade, I believe.
He's a
Yeah.
Kiwi. He's got to be smart.
Yeah, obviously.
Of course.
All right, just the last one, even though I think you're winning. Brutal Noodle.
Brutal
Brutal
noodle.
What's most concerning is my father listens to this. So
Brutal
sorry, Dad.
noodle. Brutal Noodle. I reckon it's a racehorse.
Brutal Noodle down the outside.
Here comes Brutal Noodle. Bossy's got him covered.
No, it's got to be a rude film. I've gone rude film on every one of them.
Yeah. You got to get one right.
I know.
It's a band.
Oh, like really?
Really?
Wait till I show you the other bands that I couldn't
Oh, my
put.
goodness.
What the fuck? What, really?
I don't
Where you
know.
going tonight? Where you going tonight? I'm going to go and watch Brutal Noodle.
gonna
Oh, you
go
had a good time, darling. Oh, don't worry about your skirt being shirt. The skirt. What am I to say? What's me shit? Your skirt being too short. Go and watch Brutal Noodle.
Go and watch Brutal
He's all
Noodle.
flustered over Brutal Noodle. That's Rock Band, Racehorse, and Rude Film.
Oh,
there you
let's
go.
go.
Will.
Well done, mate. You
Yeah.
got me again.
There you
A
go.
little bit. Just a little bit.
Mate, we played three rounds of golf in one day
Yes.
between us, and it come down to the last hole,
last
and he
hole.
beat me by one shot
One
after
shot.
3 rounds.
And then Bossy come to my place
Oh, shit.
and had a hole in one.
That's right. On your only hole in one I've ever had, it was on his place on his
my
golf
little
course.
golf course.
Oh, you have a
at
little.
home.
That's right. You do
I've
too.
got a little 9-holer at home.
Yeah.
I've had one hole in one, but I must say, I was yelling and screaming when I got it in the hole. Vic come running out. What's wrong? I said, I got a hole in one and you didn't even see it, so I got to believe myself that I'd done it.
I
And
had
then
a witness.
the great man come and do it at my place.
160 metres from the
160
from the
metres.
water tank.
Yes.
I have a little bit of a draw on it, and we both said when I hit it, we
As
both
we
said
hit it, I said, this is going to be
it's
close.
going to be in the hole.
And it went
Bang.
straight in the hole.
And how did Pumper Cassidy and Glenn Boss celebrate a hole in one at your own golf course?
Beers. Actually, that was a good day, wasn't it? We went out
Yeah.
to Riverside Oaks. I think we hit off at 7 o'clock in the morning. We played one side of the course and we went and played the 18 on the back, the new course at
Yep.
Riverside.
And we'll tie it up. We'll square it up. So
We
let's
squared
go
up. We
again.
said, we'll go and have another round. So we come back over and played another 18.
And we go toe to toe all day.
All day, one shot in it. And we sat down at my place having a beer and a
Yeah.
little barbie by 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
telling
So,
stories like this.
Telling stories. Reminiscing.
We always have fun. When we used to go to Melbourne, we'd go to the
We'd go and stay together
Go
somewhere.
and stay together.
wherever.
Yeah.
Bossy would do his bit, I'd do my bit. We'd catch up, have dinner. We're together at the races.
Yep.
And here we are.
Always having dinner every night.
35 years later, still sitting on the couch laughing.
it's always been fun, eh?
Always been fun, mate. You've been a great man, and as I said, I've been privileged to ride against the greats, see some great jockeys, and to see J-Mac flying on all cylinders, and Zach flying in Hong Kong with Nicole and them, and I'm just looking forward to them coming home and having the grandkids, Roxy and Cash, and obviously Summer here in Sydney, and my youngest daughter Nicole, Sasha, Piper. Yeah, I'll get one of them.
There are 3 of
eventually.
them. It's a bit
There are
confusing.
3. Nicole, Sasha, and Piper. Lucky, and it's fantastic. Great time of life. Happy
And
at
don't
Lake
forget
Road.
your beautiful, beautiful wife.
Yes, well,
Vic,
Vic's
she
been
is
my backbone.
Unbelievable.
Behind every good man, there's a fantastic lady, and I'm very lucky. I've got Vic and my 3 beautiful daughters, and a lot of great mates, still great mates with a lot of good owners that I rode for and that sort of thing. So I can sit here and say the pump's never been happier, brother.
Good on you, mate. I'm
Never been
glad to
happier.
see it. Glad
Well,
to see it.
thank you for coming and joining us on Who's the Boss. It has been fantastic. It has been a privilege.
This stuff gets better and better.
It does.
Honestly, like I'm sitting down and like I love this. We've been best mates for a long time.
Long
time.
And a long time to go.
And then we never have a bad moment.
No.
Like even through the shit times, we find something to laugh about.
Well, I can say Bossy was always there ringing me up and, how you going, or do you need something and that? I said, no, I'll be back.
I'll tell you how close we became. When he lived at Arcadia, and I lived in the eastern suburbs in Sydney. So he had a shed where he was building his new house on this 8 acres, what it is.
8 acres, yeah.
And I went up and stayed with him. He had a barbecue, slept in his shed, basically.
Yeah, we did.
Within a month, I'd bought a property at Dural
Correct.
because I wanted to be close to him, but I
Yeah.
thought, this is where I want to live. I
Yeah.
want to be close to him, but I want to be in this environment.
And the great man, God bless him, my dad a job
Yep.
there that he loved. Dad used to do my gardens
Bluey
and
used to do,
lawns and
yep.
that. And
he bit my place twice a week, wasn't
my
he?
dad used
Beautiful
to
man.
love working for Bossy. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
it was the best one.
Yeah.
He Bluey, Bluey used to come and do my gardens, and he was so meticulous. He'd work out in the sun all day,
Yeah.
and I'd say, "Come on, Bluey, stop, mate.
Yeah.
Go and have a rest." He said, No, I've got this
Bossy
thing to
was
do.
great to my dad, and I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, I loved him. He was
a lot
a
of
beautiful
photos
man.
and good memories. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a privilege. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for joining us.
Yeah.
Thanks for
What a
coming into
privilege.
our little
Yeah.
house. Cheers
Yes.
to
To
two
you,
of the
Pumps.
greats.
Yes, thank you very much.
Love you, mate.
Love you too, brother. Very
Cheers
good.
to you.
Thanks, Bossy. Wowza.
Wowza.
Wow. Colourful.
I think I need to go and have a nap.
100%. A nap is the right way.
That was huge.
He came in all guns blazing
Well,
to the studio, which I liked. A little off-putting.
well, you know, like that character, the Tasmanian Devil, you know, that cartoon character, they come in and they leave and there's just this destruction. But you just love watching it. It's like, oh my God, that's Jimmy to a T.
Jimmy Cassidy, he is one of the great Australian sporting personalities.
He's just a great Australian.
Yeah.
He's from New Zealand, but he's done all his best work here. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But he's one of my best mates, and he's one of the just true iconic. And he just tells us, as you know, he just tells it as it is.
Yeah.
Love it.
And it's great because he has all the time in the world for everyone that he meets along
Yeah,
the way
yeah.
to share his journey, to share his experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly. He'll talk to you about. We saw him as he just left the studio here, just chatting to everyone. What you see is what you get.
Tease off on everybody. Love it.
He did that. Now, before we get any further in the show, we do have to give a shout out
Yeah.
to our mates at International Premier Events. You've got the hat on there, Bossy.
Yeah, mate.
They are in their peak season right now. They've got the Melbourne Cup Carnival coming up, the British and Irish Lions Tour Premium Hospitality, of course, the Everest Carnival, and you're going to be floating around at a few of those events.
I'll be there with my 3 babies.
Yeah.
So if
They
you
do
come
a good
along,
event.
well, yeah, you know, if you come along to IPE, like you're going to be number one treated to a great day out. Hospitality is unbelievable. But I'm going to bring my 3 cups, and you'll probably get a chance to have a beer out of them.
Probably, I'd say you're
I think you're 100% probably chance.
yeah, Rena, a pretty good chance there. IPEvents.com.au if you want to be part of the International Premier Events fun trackside Melbourne Cup, Everest Day, British Lions Tour, even the AFL Footy Grand Final this weekend. You name it, it's all happening at IPEvents.com.au. All right, here we go. It's time for Bossy's Best. All right, Bossy, let's take a look. Another big weekend of racing.
Yeah.
At the time of this record, we're pretty close to the Fee and Stakes and the Manikato at Moonee Valley. First of all, the Fee and Stakes, we've got 4 runners.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. I've never seen a Fee and Stakes like this. It's going to be an intriguing race all the same. I see they've got Pride of Jenny favourite. Odds on. Good luck there.
Your mate, Mr. Brightside.
Well, Mr. Brightside beat her fair and square the other day. I mean, there's no doubt. I was so happy to see her back, and she's definitely going to improve. But guess what? Mr. Brightside, 3 starts over the track and distance for 3 wins. 5 starts at the Valley for 3 wins and a second. Valley horses always run well at the Valley. I'm not saying she's had 1 start at the Valley and she ran second. But when you put all that, when you take an odds on about horses, you want to have everything in your favour. Mr. Brightside, mate, I think the market's got it wrong.
And you've always been a fan of Mr. Brightside too. So.
Big fan.
The other race of note, I should say, on the night is the Manikato Stakes. I Wish I Win, Everest runner, will be jumping. And who's going into this one as favourite at
I'd
this
say
stage?
he
Growing
is.
Empire is coming in early as favourite.
Is that right? Yeah, because probably I Wish I Win's probably not his track.
Yeah.
But
also not the target.
Not the target, but they want to see him run well again,
Yeah.
like he did first up. So, not to say he can't win if he steps away with him, because he didn't step away clean last start, and that cost him the race. He's arguably the best sprinter in Australia at the moment. If he steps away clean and gets everything going into his race, like he gets a nice toe into the race, you can see him ripping over the top of them. But if he doesn't, and he rips through the line, he'll maintain his favouritism for the Everest, and that's all they want to probably see.
All right. Well, let's take a look at Sydney.
Yeah.
Golden Rose Day at Rose Hill, and it's probably going to be a bit of a soggy one, you'd imagine, with all this rain that's around. Let's look at the Golden Rose first up over the 1400. Obviously, Crackfield.
Crackfield. This is an amazing field, this. Broadsiding returning off that great winter. He could be the heir apparent. He could be the horse that puts his hand up and says, I'm favourite for the Cox Plate. Whew, that's a big statement, but he could do it. Traffic Warden was unbelievable the other day. And then you got Storm Boy, who was equally as good. Missing the start. I think they got it wrong. They should have rode him with a sit. and he probably wins. If he doesn't jump away cleanly this time, I hope he just goes to plan B and gives him a chance because he's still a good horse. He can still win from behind.
So what would you be doing with... Sorry, let's rewind this. I'm guessing the plan moving forward for Storm Boy is very dependent on what happens this weekend.
I reckon it's a fork in the road.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. If he steps clean and comes out and wins, they'll probably go towards a Guineas and probably a Cox Plate.
Yeah.
If he doesn't and he gets beat or he doesn't quite get the trip, they'll divert. Not a bad second plan. Probably go back towards an Everest.
Yeah.
Not a bad second backup
Not at all.
plan, but I think it's a real fork in the moment for this colt.
Yeah.
So it's a big day.
I also like Linebacker. I still like Linebacker. Fourth first up. Kerry McAvoy on board, and for John O'Shea, we'll see how we go there. The Golden Pendant, the Group 2 of the day. Amelia's Jewel, what do we do here?
Well, the real Amelia's Jewel would be $1.80 and just smash these. But where is she? I hope she does come out and smash them, because if she does, she might put her hand up for an Everest.
You reckon?
Well, she's a highly talented mare. They might just do it. I just hope. I hope she comes out and blows them away, because I'd like to see her thrown into the mix.
Annabelle Neesham, Rob Archibald, obviously a new training partnership.
Yep.
They're just doing so incredibly well. Sun and Shine in Paris, you would expect, I'm surprised it hasn't come out yet, to be named in the Everest for John Camilleri. Samana goes in favourite for this race.
Yeah, well, she ran a great fourth in the Wink Stakes, and she's got very good form behind her. She probably deserves to be favourite, because you can see what her form is. It's there for everyone to see. With Amelia's Jewel, people are still guessing. Is she back? Is she back to her best? So, and like you say, Snooky, with this inclement weather, it just throws a spanner into the works, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. And speaking of looking at the Shannon Stakes as well, my boy Celestial Legend doesn't mind a bit of a wet track. I'm with him this week.
Well, so you should be. He looked on face value, he looked a little bit disappointing, but no, he wasn't the other day. That was never his race. He was there to get prepped for what's ahead, and he's a proper, genuine superstar. So I expect him to bounce back.
And Les was saying he's looking for more distance.
There's no doubt. I mean, people jumped on him the other day. Because he come out and won a Doncaster, they expect him to win it. They expect these horses to win all the time. They're not Winks, they're not Black Caviars. They have targets, which they will reach. There are other races are simply races to prep them for the target.
Yeah. And when Les Bridge is onto a good thing, you got to trust what Les Bridge says.
Yeah, this horse is a proper star. I love him.
Yeah, he's gorgeous. Another great race in Sydney on Saturday is the Heritage Stakes.
Yes.
Gatsby's goes in as favourite at this early stage, but you've also got this Gun Colt Bodyguard.
Yeah. What another... Isn't Sydney... Geez, I tell you what. They're frothing with horse flesh at the moment. It doesn't matter where you look over the whole program. There's just good horse flesh running around. Obviously, with the AFL Grand Final, Melbourne's having their day off, obviously, on the Saturday. So all the attention is on Sydney. But still, haven't they come up with some amazing, some races and horse flesh. So, I'm really looking forward to this. I was with Gadsby.
Yeah?
Yeah, but he disappointed me second up, but he could bounce back.
But you have a theory on the second up, don't you?
I do. And especially knowing how Chris Waller operates, they go in first up with sheer ability. They're never fit screwed down.
Is this a Chris Waller specific, or is
this... Sometimes, because he's all about the target, which is generally, a bit further down the track. And he's the master at it, at getting them right on the day, which is generally the grand final. So first up, they go in there, they generally win or run super off just how good they are. Second up, they'll feel it a touch because he doesn't have them rock hard, doesn't have them screwed down. So I think his stats with horses second up is a little bit here and there, but never when it comes to grand finals.
We should get him on the show one day. Do you reckon you could get him on the show?
I could make a call.
Okay.
Wouldn't that be good?
Oh, that'd be a good chat.
Wouldn't that be a great chat?
That'd be a good chat. You stick
Let's
around.
make
You
this-
never know
I'll
what
get
might
my people
happen.
get my people to talk to his people. We'll get it happening.
Of course, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Who's the Boss Pod. YouTube. You can track us down where you listen to all your great podcasts as well, because we're going to put ourselves in the great camp. Another great ep. Bossy,
Yeah.
you're on fire. You've got a good little black book of guests there.
I think we've got something going on here, Snooky.
Okay.
Like we've got a bit of.
I feel the
feels.
magic.
I think you know what happens. What I've really found, people have got here and straight away sat on this couch and felt comfortable.
Yeah.
So they kind of let themselves go a bit, which I love, because you don't want them guarded and
This is
stuff
true.
like that. So they feel like they can just open up.
Do you think it's the company, or is it the champagne we ply them with on arrival that helps?
See, we have our ways, don't we?
We have our ways. And we have another very entertaining guest coming up next episode. Are we allowed to say who we're? Yep. Okay, we're allowed. So next week we have a Sydney trainer coming up, don't we? Next week.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to give us a little?
He is fun and games, laugh,
Yes, laughing.
entertaining.
Yes.
Entertaining. That's how you describe him.
He's many things.
He's many things, but entertaining.
Are we allowed to say the name? Oh, yep.
Beyond Baker.
Bjorn Baker.
If you want to race a horse and have fun,
Oh.
this has got to be the bloke you have a horse with.
You don't even have to race a horse to have fun with him.
No,
Just
but
sit down and have a chat to
it's
him.
more fun if you do have a horse with
Yeah,
him,
it's
because
true.
you get into that inner sanctum, and nothing is scripted with this bloke. It's so real. I love it, and he's got a good pedigree too. Don't worry about
He
that.
does actually
He can
have-
train a horse.
And he's a very clever cookie. This is going to be a chat I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah.
Should we do it all again next week, Bossy?
Well, if people watch,
Nah, who cares?
we got.
Let's just keep doing it.
We spoke about this last week. You give a fuck. If they're not watching, we'll just do it anyway. I'm just having fun. Are you having
Yeah,
fun?
I'm having a terrible time, can't you tell? All right, we'll do it again next week, whether you're here or not. Bossy, love to
Thanks,
see you.
Snooky. See you in a week.
Thanks for watching Who's the Boss?
Thank you.
There you have it, another episode of Who's the Boss. If you'd like to subscribe, you can head over this side. And if you'd like to see more content, head over this side. We'll catch you next time on Who's the Boss.